Well, it's a beautiful day here in Alberta. Spring is finally coming. There's snow in the mountains, but the snow everywhere else is pretty much gone. It's getting nice and it's getting warm. So I wanted to show you guys another project that I bought a few weeks ago. I've been looking for quite a while, but I finally found one that I liked. This is a 1992 Suzuki Samurai. So I bought this as a project vehicle. Right now it's completely stock and it's actually in pretty reasonable condition. As they are stock, they're a pretty decent 4x4, but I plan to modify it to make it better. So this will be a rig for 4x4ing and exploring and hunting. So today we'll look at it in its completely stock form and we'll plan future upgrades. This is the stock 1.3 liter 4-cylinder engine. This model is 92, it's actually a fuel injected. It has about 60 horsepower. It runs well, but it is pretty gutless. I do plan on making some modifications to the engine to give it more power. I will stick with the fuel injection. I might convert it to Mega Squirt. I probably will do some simple exhaust upgrades, and down the road possibly a small turbo kit. The interior of this Samurai is basically stock and overall in pretty good shape. The seats are covered, so I assume underneath they're pretty worn. There is no back seat here currently, it just has the empty bed. One thing that's interesting that I don't think the Suzuki engineers planned in 1992 is this little storage shelf on the top here. Fits my smartphone pretty well. That's convenient. Looking at the back again, it's actually pretty clean back there. There's not really any rust. It's in pretty good shape. I do plan on putting a rear seat back there with seat belts. This was originally a soft top convertible, but the previous owner has converted it to this aftermarket two-piece hard top. Now, I really like the visibility with it. It has excellent, these windows in the back, you can really see behind you. What I don't like though is there is quite a bit of wind noise associated with it. I do plan on changing it over to a one-piece removable hardtop. For an Alberta vehicle, there isn't a whole lot of rust. Underneath, the frame and the body is pretty rust-free. Both front fender flares though have rust both in the exact same spot. So I do plan on removing the flares and buying some aftermarket, likely plastic flares. There is a bit of body damage on this rear corner. I might straighten it a bit, but I'm not too worried about it. The stock front bumper has this bumper guard. I'm going to replace the entire bumper. I ordered one from Schrockworks a couple weeks ago. They charged my credit card. Hopefully it actually shows up one day. I haven't heard anything from them, but I'm going to put a winch on the front. For interior upgrades, basically I'm going to replace the stereo. This one is terrible, so I'll put a modern stereo in here. So let's take it for a drive. You might notice the starter clicked. It does that sometimes. I'll have to check the wiring. I might also do the upgrade with a relay. So obviously it's a 5-speed manual, no power steering. Very easy to drive actually, very basic. And as you'd expect with 60-something horsepower, it is definitely not fast. So it has enough power to keep up with traffic, but it's definitely one of the slowest vehicles on the road. I think even my Class C motorhome is faster than this. However, driving it is a lot of fun. It's kind of like a mix between a go-kart and a tractor. It's just so small and so rudimentary and so basic. With a short wheelbase and pretty stiff springs, the ride on it is pretty rough. It actually reminds me a bit of my 78 Chevy K20. You know, it's not terrible, but you feel every little bump in the road. I personally don't mind it though. So driving it on the highway is actually not too bad. It'll keep up with traffic. 60 miles an hour is no problem. 70 is about its max. I don't have a tachometer, so I don't know what RPM it's spinning at that speed, but it's buzzing up pretty high, I think. But it'll do 70, and it'll sustain it. It won't do much more than that, though. And overall, it actually tracks pretty well on the highway. Every little gust of wind, because it's so light, you do feel it. But it's actually pretty easy to drive. So upgrades I haven't mentioned yet. Obviously it's going to get new tires. It's going to get a lift kit. Just a small lift kit. I'm not going to get too crazy. I do want to be able to drive it on the highway and on the road. I also am going to tow it behind my motorhome. So all these things though will be coming in the next few weeks. I'm going to keep working on the airboat. That's first priority to finish that project. But this will be something we'll be doing here and there in the meantime. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.